What's going on, guys? Welcome to the video. So we might have at least a partial explanation for why Diane Abbott has been avoiding TV interviews recently. And it might be because her son has been arrested and taken to court for biting a police officer and spitting at them, as far as I'm aware, while outside the Foreign Office on Friday last week. This has been kept rather quiet until yesterday night, when it was first reported on by the Telegraph, and now a few others are picking up on it, including some of the Ramona newspapers. At this point, I have not heard nothing from the BBC, Sky News or Channel 4 on this, but they may have done something in the last half hour that I've missed. Either way, we'll read through the Telegraph's article because Diane Abbott tried to suppress this story last night, so let's take a look at it. It says, Diane Abbott's son accused of assaulting police officer outside Foreign Office. Diane Abbott, the Shadow Home Secretary, on Tuesday night tried to prevent the Telegraph from publishing details of a court hearing at which her son was accused of assaulting a police officer. Lawyers acting for the Labour frontbencher wrote to this paper after it approached her for comment. Miss Abbott, 66, will become Home Secretary in charge of policing if Labour wins the general election in a little over a week's time. She had previously expressed her concern in Parliament over assaults on police officers and other emergency workers, and complained that for too long police victims of violence have felt like second-class victims. Well, I wonder if she will be pushing for a harsh sentence against her son this time. I bet she won't. Her privately school-educated Cambridge University student son at that, let's not forget. In a 2016 Commons debate which she had requested, she told MPs all assaults on the police are unacceptable and we will discuss how to address them. Her son, James Abbott Thompson, 28, was arrested outside the Foreign Office in Whitehall following the altercation with an emergency worker. The alleged assault took place on Friday, less than an hour after the London Bridge terrorist attack. The two incidents are not connected, but police would have been at a full stretch at the time. So this dickhead is literally taking up police resources at the time when something's actually happening in the country, or especially in London, which is where the attack was going on. Seems like a bit of an entitled prick to me. Mr. Abbott Thompson, who previously worked at the Foreign Office, was charged with 2 counts of assaulting an officer as well as a public order offence. He appeared at Westminster Magistrates Court on Monday and is next due to appear at the City of London Magistrates Court on February the 7th. In a statement on Tuesday, Scotland Yard said a man had been charged with assault following an incident at around 2:45 p.m. Friday, November the 29th, at the Foreign and Commonwealth Office in King Charles Street, Westminster. James Abbott Thompson, 28, was charged on Sunday, December the 1st with 2 counts of assault by beating of an emergency services worker. He was further charged with an offence under Section 4 of the Public Order Act. Miss Abbott was approached by the Telegraph for comment after claims that her son had appeared in court began to circulate on the internet. Solicitors sent a legal letter shortly after. The details of the letter are private and cannot be published. I expect they were telling the Telegraph not to post it. Miss Abbott, who is standing as a Labour candidate in Hackney North and Stoke Newington, where she is defending a 35,000 plus majority, was heavily criticised for controversially sending her son in 2004 to the fee-paying City of London School, one of Britain's most prestigious schools. In 2010, when she was standing for the Labour leadership, Miss Abbott defended sending Mr. Abbott Thompson to the private school, telling this newspaper in an interview that it was the making of him. Yeah, it was the making of him biting police officers and thinking he can get away with it. It's absolutely incredible. Now, I'm not really too fussed about this idiot getting nicked. He shouldn't be assaulting the old Bill, and I'm no fan of the old Bill particularly myself. I've had a few run-ins with him personally, but not to the point where I've ever assaulted one of them. That's just bang out of order. You don't do that. None of them have ever assaulted me. I've never assaulted them. Doesn't mean I've always got on with them necessarily. But the main reason I decided to cover this story was, of course, the fact that Diane Abbott and her lawyers tried to get this story suppressed and prevent the Telegraph from actually reporting on it, which is some real shitweasel behaviour, if you ask me. Your son breaks the law, gets arrested, spends a night in the cells, goes to court the next day, gets bailed out until the 7th of February, and you try to cover it up, when you are going to be in charge of the police, as this article says, if Labour win the next election, which means you will be in charge of the police before your son is actually tried. So personally, I find it very sneaky and dirty behaviour for you to be trying to stop the Telegraph or any other newspaper reporting on the fact that your son's a lowlife who bites police officers and tries to punch them in the face because he can't get into the Home Office when someone he wants to speak to is not even there. Your son's an absolute dickhead at the end of the day. And I actually hope the judge makes an example out of him and gives him a nice little bird for it. It will be funny. But I 100% expect he will get away with it. But anyway, on that note, I'm going to end it there. Diane Abbott's son's a dickhead who bites and attacks police officers. And Abbott herself is someone who tries to cover it up, like a dirty snake. Now, before I go, I want to thank our PayPal, Patreon, Subscribestar and YouTube members for supporting the channel, along with everyone who watches my videos. Remember to let me know what you guys think down in the comments section below. Leave a like, subscribe with the notification bell and share this video as it helps the channel a lot. And I will see you all in the next one.
This Parliament is a dead Parliament. It should no longer sit. It has no moral right to sit on these green benches. They don't like the truth. Twice they have been asked to let the electorate decide upon whether they should continue to sit in their seats, while they block 17.4 million people's votes. Parliament is a disgrace, but they're too cowardly to give it a go. But the time is coming. The time is coming, Mr. Speaker, when even these turkeys won't be able to prevent Christmas.
There is a pattern consistent throughout history of oppressed people turning on the oppressors. Slaves against their owners, the peasantry against the feudal barons, colonies, Mr. Verhofstadt, against their empires. And that is why Britain is leaving. And it doesn't matter which language you use, we are going, and we are glad to be going. We're off.